Good morning. Welcome to Kathy's Cute Creations. Who is ready for week 3 of Stay Spooky? And we're going to make another house. This is just a little bit different. We're going to make 4 of them. So let's go ahead and get started. Here is our fabric. And let's lay out our very first house. And let's make that together. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take all of these and put a line diagonally through them. Then when you're done with that, we're going to take the roof of our house, which is this black piece here, whatever dark piece you're using, and we're going to sew this on it. One on the right and one on the left before we do any kind of cutting. Like that. We're going to sew those. So let's do that. Question, shall we hear another story in the book? Let's do that. So in this story, she is taking her first and final trip, first class, to Africa. Now she's been there before, but she wants to go again. She always goes, I don't know, it's either coach or I don't know what the classes are, but this is the first one she's going to do where she goes first class. And during it, she dozes off. She also enjoys, I believe her drink is champagne. There's something else, but I don't know anything about drinks, so I can't remember what the other one is. And when she wakes up, she kind of wakes up with a little bit of a start, because in this one, each time she goes to sleep, she is dreaming about what had happened while she was younger with her sister. So in this one story, her sister had gone outside to play, and their mom and dad was not home. And keep in mind, they had, oh my gosh, what's her name? I want to say Charlotte, but I can't even remember already. And I did not reread the story, so it would be fresh in my memory. But anyway, the young girl that's helping with her sister, I think she was either making dinner or something, but Maud hears her sister screaming outside. So she looks out the window, and there's these 2 little boys who live in this apartment building as they do, terrorizing her sister. By terrorizing, they literally have got a rat. She's not sure if it's dead or alive. And they got it by the tail, and they're swinging it in her face. And of course she's screaming because she's scared. And she's backed up against, I think, a shed. It was a building or something, because she is backed up against something. And she says, oh, for crying out loud. So she gets herself all worked up, and she goes outside. I'm going to cut the right-hand side off. So this is where you would be. In my case, I'm going to mark it, so I'm going to go over a 1/2 inch. Because I don't have a problem making this 1/8 of an inch. So this is my other sewing line. I do this so I have extra. This is for all the newbies now, not the people that have already done this. But this gives me extra 1/2 square triangles for other projects. Like if when you got done with this, you wanted to make a pillow or something, you could. You'd have all these extra 1/2 square triangles, or you could make a pincushion if you wanted to. Add fabric to it, make a throw rug. I'm gonna go ahead and sew on that line, and I'm gonna cut right between the middle. So first she's going to set up a trap for these children. I say children, these kids. Before I sew this, let's make sure I'm doing it the right way. All right, so it will look like that and this. Okay, so it is correct. So she goes and gets an envelope out of her dad's desk. And then she goes down to the boiler room in this building. Now this, and then she takes this, I'm trying to think if she had somehow she got a key. So she takes the envelope, and it is really sooty and dirty, because this is way back when I believe the coal was delivered. So she tosses this envelope in there so that you can actually see it. And then she goes out there and says to the boys, just nonchalantly, tells them that her dad, and she lets this slip now, this part. She said her dad had some money in an envelope. She went, he lost an envelope. And it was very important. And could the boys help her find it? And they said, you don't need to go with us. We'll find it for you. And of course, one of the boys giggled and looked at his brother And so she goes, okay, so the rat was literally alive. Now this is when she finds this out. We're going to cut this half over here. Just take your pieces and fold them so you can make sure they turn out right. And then I go between the two at the 1/4 inch mark right here. Oops, my blade's not ready. Okay. Take that off. Turn it and take this off. And then I'm going to go iron it right here. So it'll look like that. And these end up looking like this. Half square triangles. And you can make them, you can downsize them, cut it whatever you want. All right, now that we have made the roof, we're going to go ahead and make the body of the house. Oh, darn it all, I made a mistake because when I cut these, I cut them, I don't know what I was thinking. Somehow I thought they were going to lay like this and cut them, but they actually lay like this. So I'm going to have my pumpkins, their heads are going to go to the left. Let's put it together. Now the larger rectangles on the right and the smaller on the left, and we're going to attach these before we put the strip up here on top of the house. Okay, like that. Okay, so to keep from getting my characters all messed up, because I'm really bad about that, Charlotte is her sister. Hilda is the young lady that helps them. And then in this story, there is Stark, which is the guy that maintains, like, he does the cleaning, the sweeping and all this. And he's a little bit of, and I'm not going to say he's an alcoholic, but he reeks a little bit of alcohol all the time. And he never does anything to Claude. Claude. Oh my gosh, where am I getting that at? To Maud. So when Maud walks by him, she's respectful and she says good morning or whatever, and he just ignores her, like as if she doesn't even exist. But she's still nice. She's never mean or anything like that. He doesn't bother anybody. He does his job and that's it. So they are the characters that's in this story. Now, keep in mind, she is sleeping. Maud is sleeping on the airplane when she's dreaming this. As far as this fabric, I should be looking on the bright side. I could have took all these orange ones and put the words the wrong direction. That would have been even worse. But hey, if it happened, it happened. I can't do anything about it. Apparently, I don't know my directions. Well, anyway, these boys, I can't even remember what their names are. And they're not normal names like Jack and John and stuff like that. There's some, I want to call them old names. Which, right offhand, I can't even think about somebody with an old name. Alrighty, I'm going to take it apart and put it back together again because somehow, and I don't know how, this square or rectangle, was way too big. Alrighty, now we're going to take our strip, and you can do one or two things. You can fold it in half and put it in the middle, like this. Fold this in half, like this. Put a little mark down here. Okay, open it up. That's your halfway point. Keep in mind, this is not centered. This is off to the left a little bit. Take the strip, fold it in half. Do the same thing. Mark it like that. And then put it right on top of the other one. So that's your halfway point. And then mark it on one end and the other. Just like this. And then you can mark one right here in the middle on the fold where the seam is, not the fold, sorry. And then put it here at the other end. And I'm going to put it right here. And then as you sew it, you're just going to pull a little bit taut and it will fit. Okay, and we're going to have that strip on before we put the roof on. Alrighty, so I have pinned my roof to the bottom of my house. I had done it, but I didn't get on camera. I had showed you the two, but we're going to now attach this. And I just did it on this side. So she got her sister all situated, and she hurries up and goes down there into the basement so she can get in position for when those kids go into that room, because she gave them a couple of places to be looking, but she knew the place that they would look was that dirty room with all the coal and all that kind of stuff that goes in it. So anyway, she waits, and when they walk in there and they see it, and she's put it in there far enough, I mean, she threw it in, tossed it in, whatever you say, but it's far enough back there they've got to literally step in. And of course, they're both greedy, so they both run in there real quick. And as soon as they did, she shut that door as hard as she could on that. And then she runs back upstairs and acts like there's nothing happening. And then, of course, you know, time goes by and the kids are missed by their parents and people come looking for them. The next thing you know, everybody's looking for them, or at least all the adults are looking for them. And they find them down there, and they, Maud is questioned by the, I want to think, I don't think it's Mr. Stark. I'm trying to think who found him. If her dad found him, I think this is when her dad was still alive. Of course, Maud told her side. She said that she looked out. Charlotte was screaming and everything, and that they had a rat that they had in her face, swinging it and all that. So she told the whole story about it, and that infuriated her dad. Well, apparently, back in those days, when I say those days, back in the 30s, the 20s, the 30s. Hold on one second. Before I iron it, I'm going to take it over there and iron it real quick. There we go, all 4 of them. So they're all finished. I'm going to put them up on the design board. And then we're going to finish that story real quick because I'm at the very tail end. There we go. They're on the design board. I put them, the pumpkins are underneath them. I hope you guys like this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. And I'll see you next week for week 4 of Stay Spooky. Okay, everybody, give me a thumbs up, a comment if you'd like, subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you next week. But stay tuned for the tail end of that story. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Bye-bye. So I went back and found out what these 2 kids' names, because I told you I'm never going to remember them. So one of them was called Alcott, and the other little boy was called Torsten. This is why I said those are really old names, and I would never remember that. Anyway, so what happened was she, like I said, she set up the stage. She got that envelope thrown into the boiler room, I believe, is what it was called. And they actually called the coal and stuff that they shoveled, they called it coke back then, C-O-K-E. So I'm not quite sure when it changed to coal, because, I mean, it's the same thing. Unless it's different, and I just don't know, and that was before coal, but I have no idea. But anyway, so she got both those guys to go looking. She got them in the room, and I want to think that she got the key from the hallway in their house. So I wasn't sure if her dad was like, he's not the super, but I wonder if he fixes the apartments and has something to do with the apartments. But so to the tail end, when they got caught and everything, I guess it's in the contract when you rent about how your kids are supposed to behave and the way that you treat the property and things like this to keep it from literally being torn apart by the tenants. And I think I'm going to look real quick to find out what kind of, they broke something in the contract, the ones with the kids did. Okay, so hold on one second. Here's what it said. So after all of this, what happened was that Stark, the guy that does the maintenance and everything, he came in, told what had happened with these 2 boys and everything. Maud's father talked to her. She told him what had happened. And so even though she lied, it was okay that she had had kind of tricked the boys because it was helping Charlotte. So the dad didn't speak about the incident. So the following day, he went to see this family. Their last name was Aronsson or something like that. Aronssson. So he gave them a month's notice. Now this is her dad doing this. So it says the boys had attacked Charlotte and messed around in the coal cellar, and that kind of thing simply was not allowed. The tenancy agreement clearly stated parents or guardians are responsible for ensuring that children do not play on the stairs, in the laundry room, the cellar, or the attic. Therefore, this family had failed in their obligation. Something very serious could have happened. So they had lost their right to rent an apartment. And so the father, and of course he's got an old name too, because his name, it sounds like he might come from another country. His first name was F-R-U, so I'm not sure if that's Fru or pronounced something like Fro. And it says that he wept and he begged her father to reconsider, but he had been implacable. That family had to go. Now, remember I told you that Stark more or less didn't say anything to Maud when Maud always said hello and that kind of thing. So when she walked by him, it says the day before Christmas Eve, Maud bumped into Stark on the steps leading down to the courtyard. He looked just as miserable as ever. And as usual, Maud, she bowed her head politely. "Good afternoon, Earthstark," she said. "Good afternoon, Maud." He had never answered her before. She was so surprised she stopped and looked up at his face, which was grubby with cold. A broad smile crossed his cracked lips, revealing an uneven, tobacco-stained row of teeth with several gaps. "Envelopes burn in no time if you put them in the furnace," he said. Then he set off down the cellar steps. So he saved Maud, but he was so happy for Maud because, you know, that's not the first time those kids did that. It's because it affected Charlotte. That's really what happened. All because of that. Because even those boys' mom saw what was going on, but before she could get downstairs, she saw Charlotte come out. I mean, oh my gosh, poor Maud. I keep calling her Charlotte. She saw Maud come out and enter the garden and go up to the boys who were teasing Charlotte, and she said something, and when she did, she saw that the kids, her boys, threw the rat aside and then turned around and left. So she figured Maud handled it, and she didn't say anything else to her kids. So anyway, I like that story, but I'm going to tell you, when I first started reading it, and this is no lie, remember now, she's on the airplane and she's sleeping, and every time she goes to sleep, she's remembering something. It's either, like this was back when she was a child, then there's other little episodes that she remembers. The first thing I thought of was, oh my gosh, she became a child. Starts with the word M. You can't say it on YouTube or you'll get banned and they'll not let your video be up. And if you've ever watched The Red Room, you know what that spelt forward. But anyway, all I could think was she started out as a child. But then when I read this, I was like so relieved because I'm thinking she's been doing that her whole entire life. But circumstances have led to that. But reading that background about how, and in this story alone, is where it said she has never been hugged or kissed by her family. Now her dad did, he caressed her hair when he come up close to her when she was telling her story, and he told her that she was a good girl for protecting her sister Charlotte. But that's when the little incident said that her mother, the only time her mother ever touched her is when she was more or less, back then they used to pinch your kids when they were disobedient or did something bad, and that's the only kind of touching that Maud got from her mother, was when she was being disciplined for something. She never got all the love and anything that Charlotte got. And Charlotte was a genius pianist. And so even though the lessons were expensive, it was the one thing that calmed Charlotte. So they continued that for Charlotte. So when you look at it, I mean, to me, poor Maud got the bad end of the stick there when it come to her entire lifetime. And it's a wonder she didn't do something to her sister as a retaliation, although Maud has lived like this her entire life. I mean, at the very beginning, they were great together, the sisters, and then just one day, her sister changed. So, like I said, it's probably a chemical imbalance, or she was really autistic and kind of grew into her autism. But anywho, that's just here and there. So now, one more announcement before I quit this video. And I'll have to stop videotaping because I need to look it up. Oh, no, actually, let me get on my iPad and I'll look it up because I have email on there and I'll give you all the details about it. This is what I wanted to announce, and I thought about it before I started the video, and then I totally turned around and forgot about it. And I want to keep it in my mind all the time I'm going to do this video so I don't forget. But the Fort Worth Fabric Studios is now having subscription boxes. So it says limited boxes. Order today. Introducing the Fort Worth Fabric Studios Sewscription boxes. Order by September 30th to receive their first box. They ship out on October 10th, and it is free shipping. It is $69.96 a month. Okay, and this is the picture that I got on my email. Oops, as I flip the darn thing, I got to be careful. Like that right there. Okay, so just in case you don't get a newsletter because you haven't joined up to get one, I'm just giving you the heads up about it so that you guys can get it if you're interested. All right, so go on over to the website, sign up, and get yourself a box, okay? And I'll see y'all next time.